This integrity session is for Spanish 101 web-based courses. This integrity session is about the verbs ser and estar and the differences between the two. Ser is taught in Lesson 1 in Vista's 3rd edition. Ser is taught in Lesson 1. Estar is taught in Lesson 2. Both are in the Vista's 3rd edition. Estar is introduced on page 59. What we're going to be talking about today are the differences between the verbs ser and estar, how to conjugate them, how to know when to use each one in different sentences, because both ser and estar, they both mean to be. So that means in Spanish there are two different verbs that mean to be. You have to know when to use the verb ser and when to use the verb estar. You can't just use them interchangeably. The first thing we need to do is review how to conjugate the verb ser. The verb ser, remember, was soy. Yo soy was I am. Tú eres, you are. Él, ella, and usted es. All those three go together. Nosotros somos. I left out vosotros in here because, like we said before, it's not widely used, so we're going to skip that section right now. Ellos, ellas, and ustedes. Remember, all three of these go together, and that verb form is son. Yo soy, I am. Tú eres, you are. Él es, he is. Ella es, she is. Usted es, you formal are. Nosotros somos, we are. Ellos and ellas son, they are. Ustedes son, you all are. Alright, to conjugate the verb estar, estar looks like this. Yo estoy. Tú estás. Él, ella, usted está. Nosotros estamos. Ellos, ellas, ustedes están. The first thing to notice is that these here, estás, está, and están, they all have accent marks that you'll have to have when you write the verb. So yo soy and yo estoy both mean I am. Tú eres and tú estás both mean you are. Él es and él está both mean he is. Ella es, ella está both mean she is, etc. You have to know when to use each one, and you've already seen the verb estás and estoy, I believe, from Lesson 1 when you learned how to ask someone how they are. ¿Cómo estás? How are you? And the answer we gave was estoy bien, estoy mal, estoy regular, etc. Alright, let's talk a little bit about when to use each one. The book on page 59 gives you some written explanation on when to use each one. I'm going to show you something that I use in my classroom a lot to help students learn when to use the verb ser and when to use the verb estar. Okay, for the verb ser, we're going to start with this. Pond, TL. With the verb estar, we're going to use the acronym LACE. Okay? For ser, you use ser anytime you're telling someone's profession, anytime you're telling someone's origin. The N stands for nationality. The D is a description. The T is for telling time, and we learned that in Lesson 1 when we said que hora es la una, son las dos, son las tres. And the L here is for the location of an event. Alright, I'm underlining an event because it has to be an event to use the verb ser. Like if you say the concert is at the park or the ball game is at the stadium, it has to be an event when you use the verb ser. L is going to be location, which is any location other than an event. And A is for action. And we're going to put here the present progressive, which is something that they talk about, I believe, in Chapter 3, how to form the present progressive tense. And we'll talk a little bit about that too here while we've got it. The C, changing conditions. And E stands for emotion. Alright, as you look at this list, profession, origin, nationality, description, telling time, location of an event, most of these are more permanent, things that don't change very often. Location and action, a changing condition and emotion, these are things that are more changeable, or they change more often. So if you want to think of it as say it as a more permanent verb, and estar as a more changing verb, you can do that. What I mean by each of these is this. If you say, for example, I am a teacher, teacher is a profession, so you're going to use ser. So you would say, yo soy profesora. Alright? You could say, mi amigo es dentista. Alright, we're using a form of the verb ser in both of these because we're given professions. In the second one, for origin, alright, origin is where you are from, and we've already done those sentences from lesson 1. You made sentences that said, yo soy de Decatur. I am from Decatur, or you would say, nosotros somos de China. We are from China. Origin. The third, nationality. We did those sentences also in lesson 1. You could say Daniela es mexicana. Or you could say ellos son puertorriqueños. They are Puerto Rican. In number 4, a description. A description would be describing anything. You can describe people's physical characteristics. You could describe items, physical characteristics, etc. You could say la casa, the house, es blanca, it's white. That's a description. Or you could say yo soy baja, I am short. Or you could say mi mamá es simpática. That says my mom or my mother is nice. So any kind of a description. Telling time. We just did those on the previous lesson, on lesson 1. If you want to say it's 3 o'clock, son las 3. If you want to say it's 1 o'clock, es la una. And then the last one, a location of an event. You could say la fiesta, the party, es a mi casa. That's at my house. Or you could say el concierto, the concert, es a la BBCC. Okay? Again, the last one has to be an event. So what you've got anytime you want to tell someone's profession, someone's origin, a nationality, describing something or someone, telling time, and a location of an event. Okay? Let me get rid of these example sentences. And then we'll talk about the verb estar for a minute. And again, this is outlined in your book as well. You can go through when you do some of your exercises there. This is just something that I teach my students in order to help them remember the differences between the verb ser and estar. The words pond, TL, and then the word lace for the verb estar. Alright, let's look at some sentences with estar. Location. You could say, Yo estoy en clase. I'm in class. Alright, you could say, Calhoun es en Decatur. You could say, mi carro, my car, está en el garaje. My car is in the garage. All of those are locations. None of those are events. Okay, we're going to skip that the present progressive for a minute. Okay, go down to changing condition. Changing conditions can be weather expressions. Like if you say it's cloudy. It's cloudy is está nublado. It can be like if you say that your food is hot, as in warm hot, you would say let's put a noun there. You could say los tacos están calientes. It's a changing condition because the tacos are hot, but if you leave them sitting on your plate for a minute, they're going to be cold. Another changing condition is illness. You could say, mi hijo, my son, está enfermo, he's sick. Alright, and then emotions, because emotions change all the time. You could say, yo soy, hold on, my fault. Yo estoy triste. I am sad. You could say, mi mamá está contenta. My mom is happy or content. Alright, now let's talk about ser and estar in the gray area, because there is a gray area between when you can use the verb ser and estar. These are just giving you some guidelines on when to use each one. When you're trying to decide whether to use ser or estar, don't ever ask the question, what if? For example, if you say, I am tall, and you say, oh, well, what if I lose my legs? I won't be tall anymore. No, you can't ask questions like that. What if? Just go for face value. If you're talking about a profession, an origin, a nationality, if you're describing something, telling time or a location of an event, you use the verb ser. If you're talking about any other kind of location, an action, and an action is like when you say, I am singing, he is dancing, we are working. Alright, changing conditions, which could be hot, cold, it could be weather, it could be illness, etc. And an emotion, alright, because emotions change, then we're going to use the verb estar. Alright, let me give you an example of what I mean between these two. Because a lot of using the verb ser and estar are going to depend on what you're trying to convey. Alright, these two sentences. Mi mamá es deprimida, mi mamá está deprimida. Both of these sentences, they both say, my mom is depressed. Alright, what this sentence right here conveys to me is that this is a description, meaning that she is always depressed, clinically depressed, you could say, etc. This one right here implies to me that it's a changing condition. So this really implies to me that it's an emotional state, meaning that something has happened. Her dog passed away, she lost her job, whatever, something like that that can change. This one right here signifies to me that it's something permanent. Alright, or if you say, this is for the nursing profession especially, if you tell a patient, tú eres enfermo, tú estás enfermo, they both say you are sick. This one right here implies permanence. Alright, meaning that someone's terminally ill. It's something that they cannot get over. Estás enfermo says you are sick. This means maybe you have a cold, the flu, pneumonia, something that can be cured. I talk about this a lot when we are talking to nurses, because we don't ever want to tell a patient this is the case if it's not, because this implies in the Spanish language permanence. This one here is usually the case when nurses are speaking to patients, that they are temporarily sick and that they'll be able to heal them or try to make them well, etc. Alright, another one. If you go to a nightclub and you meet a girl and you say, you are pretty, tú eres bonita, and then you have the next one, the same thing, that says you are pretty, tú estás bonita. Alright, this right here is the compliment. Okay? Tú eres bonita, you're pretty, meaning you're beautiful, you're lovely, you've always been lovely, in the morning you're going to be lovely, next week you're going to be lovely, etc. Estás bonita implies that either the more you drink, the prettier she gets, or she spent all the time on herself, and that it's going to change. Alright, it's not permanent. Something has occurred with her. Again, she spent 10 hours on herself, she's been to the spa, etc. to make herself look better, or you've been drinking too much and the more you drink she looks better, etc. But this is the one, guys, you want to use. The same thing, ladies, if you're talking to a gentleman and you want to say that he's handsome, the same thing applies. You want to always give a compliment in the permanent state, not in the temporary. Okay? You could say, if someone, let's say that your sister changes her hair color. Alright, you could say, mi hermana está pelirroja. Mi hermana está pelirroja says my sister, mi hermana está pelirroja. My sister is redheaded or red-haired. And what this means, está, means that you're implying that she's not that way by birth, that she's changed it, or it can also imply that she changes it quite often. If she was born a redhead and she's still a redhead, then you would say, mi hermana es pelirroja. Alright, what I'm trying to show you in all these sentences right here is that just with the simple change between ser and estar, some things that you try to imply or say can change the meaning drastically. So you want to make sure that you're using the right one for what you're trying to convey. So if you say, yo blank and then doctora, if you say I'm a doctor, well, doctor is a profession, so you're going to use the yo form of the verb ser, which is soy. If you say yo blank in California, I am in California, that's a location. So you would use the yo form of the verb estar for location. Yo estoy en California. If you say my mom is Cuban, Cuban is a nationality, so you would use the ella form of the verb ser, which would be es. Mi mamá es cubana. If you want to say that your mom is tired, maybe she's worked too many hours, then you would say mi mamá está cansada. Cansada can be considered a changing condition. Alright, my mom is tired, so maybe she gets some rest so she's not tired anymore. But this is a changing condition, so you would use the ella form of the verb estar. Alright, this concludes the ser and estar lesson 2.